So it seems that the Necrons are getting back into Geomancy with a new kill team coming out in the Tomb World box set. Let's talk a bit about their models and any hints and teasers Games Workshop gave us in their previews of them. Hello and welcome back to Warspecs Tactics, where today we're talking Necrons, and in this video I thought we'd focus on the upcoming new miniatures for them, all ready to repel some trespassing Deathwatch from their catacombs. The unit that Games Workshop unveiled are the Necron's Canoptek Circle. These were revealed at Games Workshop's Big Summer Preview a few weeks back, a new Necron kill team kit that's confirmed that they will have rules for Warhammer 40k like the vast majority of ones they release these days, and maybe a slightly surprising choice for the subject of one perhaps, given that they already have a Cryptek focused Necron kill team. That one came out a while back, and that one's the Canoptek Circle. It's a Technomancer Cryptek packaged alongside a set of Immortals or Death Marks with an upgrade sprue added in, so there's some other bits to customise both sets of miniatures. They have a couple of attendant Plasmacytes, a little Cryptek Servant Acolyte, that gives some aesthetic upgrades to one Immortal to be a Despotek Guardian. In the more recent edition of Kill Team though, following Hivestorm, they've decided to stop doing Kill Teams plus upgrade sprues, and every Kill Team that's been released has been one with entirely new miniatures so far, as well as being playable in Kill Team. The Canoptek Circle is still kind of interesting for 40k purposes though. It's basically a flat discount if you wanted some Immortals plus a Technomancer, plus any value that you could get from the upgrade sprue. You certainly could use some of these as minor characters, such as the Despotek as a Royal Warden maybe, or maybe the Apprentice as a Plasmancer or something, maybe with a bit more work. The new Necron Canoptek kill team will be coming out in Kill Team Tomb World though. This one's another one of their Kill Team Versus box sets, 10 Primaris Deathwatch miniatures, the Necron Canoptek Circle, which is basically a set of 8 models. There's a new set of Necron Tomb World terrain, which is kind of fun, sort of akin to their Space Hulk style terrain, but themed around the Necrons. Fun to see some warriors in hibernation and crackling grids of Gauss energy. And then in the box there's also a set of Necron warriors and scarabs for use as non-player operatives, though apparently not usable as part of the main kill team as best I understand. This one feels like it's got a fair few parallels with the previous one, where we had a very Tyranids focused one, a Tyranid kill team, an additional unit, and Tyranid themed terrain. This one's very Necron, and certainly feels like it could have some good appeal to a popular faction, never mind the draw of the Deathwatch miniatures, which seemed like one of the more popular reveals that they showed off last time. It's not entirely clear when it might release, but I guess anywhere within the next week to the next couple of months. And the price points for these Kill Team Versus box sets tend to be a bit variable. I guess this one might be around about the £100 to $170 mark, maybe a little less. Again, it's one of the boxes with a little bit more in it than some, due to the additional set of Necron warriors. In any case, focusing on the Necron kill team itself, it's called the Canoptek Circle and led by a Geomancer. There's 8 models total in the kill team, the Geomancer very much being the biggest, most central and most dominant one, and then backed up by 2 little gun creations in the Tomb Crawlers, and then 5 essentially big Plasmacytes called Macrocytes, 2 of them with specialist roles. Even if it's another Cryptek themed kill team, it is interesting to see a Geomancer turn up again. It seems to be another example of Games Workshop redoing Crypteks from the Necrons past in their lore. We originally had the plastic Technomancer model, just labelled as a Cryptek originally, but then in 9th edition with the Indomitus release we had Chronomancers, Plasmancers and Psychomancers turn up. A Geomancer was one of the ones with their specialisations they're not redone yet. I believe they still have an Aethermancer Stormcaller one that we've not got a model for yet. Taking a look back at the previous Necron lore, Geomancers seem to be also known as alchemists or harbingers of transmogrification, seeming to have a role focused around shaping materials, particularly stone shaping and presumably maintaining all the stasis crypts and things from the Tomb World. And they tend to have their own fun signature weapons. I guess that the weapon that this one's armed with is a Tremor Stave, a weapon capable of causing minor earth tremors and opening cracks in the ground to swallow the foe. Apparently this one's a female Geomancer, not that you'd particularly be able to tell from the model. I think the miniature really is quite a fun one though. A twisted augmented body, sort of being halfway fusion between Necron and Centipede style thing with a bunch of bladed limbs. The Geomancer's twisted around some Menhir style things similar to the triarchal ones of the Silent King. Looks like they're painted in a Blackstone style fashion, and I wonder if they'd be able to shoot out beams in a similar sort of fashion to that. There's a couple of manipulator limb style things, and quite a big fun Egyptian style stylized headdress type thing. It's easily the centrepiece of the unit, and certainly feels like it's very much a Geomancer with hangers on as opposed to a normal squad. Rules wise, it'll be interesting to see what they do with it. Perhaps the main question is whether or not there'll be a standalone model datasheet or locked within the unit. Feels like it could be either really. We've recently had Tyranid hyper-adaptive Raveners with the Prime inside it, so you could have a character and command squad that might still be able to join things like Necron warriors alongside, or otherwise they could give it 2 data sheets from a 40k perspective, the main character and then the attendant retinue, maybe in a similar sort of way that they treated the servitors for the Astartes when they had them separate to the Tech Marines. Feels like there's multiple ways they could treat the units. For 40k purposes, most of the cryptets tend to be about their datasheet rules and support purposes. Just going by 10th edition tropes, if you were going for slowing down units by creating fissures and things, maybe you could have the -2 to move and charge debuff. That one's quite a good one, but tends to be far more helpful if you can push on units a fair distance away as opposed to ones right up close. Otherwise, most of the cryptets don't tend to be an enormous personal threat. They're largely 4 wound models with toughness 4 and low damage. The only ones that really deal damage in a meaningful way are Illuminor Eraz, who's got a pretty huge body, and the Plasmancer, but that's kind of his thing, throwing energy at the enemy to obliterate them. Will certainly be interesting to see though. Hopefully they manage to make rules worthy of putting the model on the board. Otherwise, for the attendant minions, they have a small swarm of big plasmacytes called Macrocytes. They describe these as lesser Canoptek creations summoned by the Geomancer to repel small-scale incursions that aren't worth waking up more Necrons for. These more standard ones just look like big plasmacytes with bladed limbs. Fun enough little Canoptek creations in themselves, though maybe not quite as exciting as full-scale Necrons done as a kill team might have been. Apparently in the kill team version of the game, they're expendable drones that can basically return to the fight once they're slain, and I can't imagine they're going to have any great threat in Warhammer 40k, probably a bunch of attacks that are strength 3, probably some melee with those blades, and it looks like they've got a tiny Gauss weapon mounted on the carapace there. I expect that one to have a sort of pistol kind of profile. The Macrocytes have a couple of specialist ones. There's a reanimator one within the unit. I'd guess that'd probably get 40k rules in the same sort of style as a squad medic. I probably would have guessed reviving models if it wasn't already Necrons and they did that already. Perhaps to allow you to reroll reanimations or +1 to reanimate or something. It could just grant a feel no pain. There's also one called a Macrocyte Accelerator as well. This one seems to swap out the small carapace gun for a manipulator style arm. It might give a boost to a unit in some way, though I feel like I wouldn't be too surprised if this one doesn't really get any special treatment for 40k purposes and is more of a kill team thing. Not literally every bit of kill team war gear gets translated across. Then they have some slightly bigger, chunkier creations in the Tomb Crawlers. I believe that these guys are on bigger 40mm bases and feel like fun mini spiders. I feel like with the looks of them, they're probably going to have multiple wounds, and then it seems they've got a choice of guns on the top. Certainly a Gauss one on the right there, maybe a Gauss Blaster variant. I'm not 100% sure what the one on the left is armed with. Any Necron tech adepts, feel free to let me know in the comments though. I guess these guys will add a little bit of damage punch to the unit. Just with the squad as a whole though, for a character that's generally tending to be a support one. Some small skirmish Macrocytes and just a couple of things that maybe have a slightly bigger gun but not a massive heavy weapon or anything. It just seems unlikely that these guys are going to be a big damage dealer style unit and more of a support force of one sort or another. I guess it depends how Games Workshop interprets them though. For all we know at these points, these guys or the Geomancer could be weirdly punchy. Here's the squad together though. As model reception goes, they were received pretty well as per Games Workshop's previews. You guys rated them a 3.8 out of 5 for model popularity. Fairly well received. Maybe not the single flashiest of the Necron models and the biggest centerpieces of the army. They do look popular for people wanting to pick them up though. Necrons are a popular faction and these guys are a new unit for them. Out of all the Space Marine characters, combat patrols and Leagues of Votann things revealed, these guys were the third most popular thing for people wanting to buy from the Big Summer preview, beaten out only by the Deathwatch veterans sharing their box set and the Imperial Fist combat patrol. The Tomb World terrain could certainly be an interesting draw for Necron collectors wanting to get some of that on the tabletop too. It definitely has a lot of theme, though maybe it isn't quite as directly translatable to Warhammer 40k as some things. I guess you might be able to make use of it with boarding action style rules, but it doesn't look like the two sets are any sort of exact match, so you might need to do some near equivalent style things, or use this with a bit more creativity than the set layouts. I'm sure it could be interesting enough for more creative terrain interpretations though. They seem to have done it in a similar sort of style to the Convergence of the Dominion, sort of Necron technology that's half enshrouded by ancient stonework, some scattered terrain with some fallen obelisks and things on this floor, and gateways that can be sealed by some crackling green energies. Here's a closer look at some of the terrain pieces. Again, I think a real fun feature are the Necrons in stasis, basically awaiting awakening. It looks like some of them are very well preserved, and other ones seem to have had some sort of stasis failure. They seem to have a health bar for the energy of the stasis field perhaps, and the ones they're painted as lower being the ones that have degraded more. In any case though, let me know what you make of the Kill Team Tomb World box set. Would you be tempted to pick this up as a Necron player? And let me know what you think of the Canoptek Circle models. Are they miniatures that you'd be tempted to add to your 40k Necron army or not? And if so, any hopes or fears for their rules? I'll leave that there for now though. Feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics if you'd like to see more like this. I'll certainly keep the regular 40k videos coming, with new ones out just about every day. If you've been enjoying the videos on the channel and you'd like to help keep them coming, Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page as well, and you can find that linked in the video description down below. Channel patrons get a few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with the chance to win some big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link's down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.